In our last Box to Bullseye video, we talked about this Z320 pistol, and I gave you my first impression of this pistol hitting the range without ever having fired it at all, period. At the same time Zev sent us this pistol, they also sent us out a Z365XL, which I have in this box. The reason I am super excited about this particular video is it's a pistol that, once again, I've never shot before, and it's also a little bit different than anything else that I've ever owned because I typically don't get into anything smaller than a Glock 19. So today we're going to dive into what I think and my first impressions of the Zev Z365XL. I never really got super excited about smaller handguns. And the reason why is they were typically single stack. Guns this size typically held 6 rounds or something like that. And to me, it just did not feel adequate as far as ammunition capacity for an everyday carry kind of pistol. Zev was kind enough to send us out their Z365XL. And this kind of switches it up for me. And one of the main reasons why is the magazines that come with this gun end up being a single stack at the top, but then they flare down to a double stack at the bottom. So what that means is I've got 12 rounds of 9mm ammunition here in a pistol that is very similar to the length slide of a Glock 19, but about half the width. And if you had to compare to something, I would say a G43X is very close. As you guys can see with them in my hands, they are a comparable size. The 43X has a little bit longer grip, and there's some other features that the Zev has that the G43 does not. And just looking at this versus this decked out kind of Gucci gun, obviously this one I think looks a lot better. Regardless, this is a new pistol to me. I've never shot this pistol before. So it's gonna be an interesting range day, an interesting Box to Bullseye. And I'm hoping that I can provide you guys some feedback from my first day on the range shooting this that might help you out when you're trying to make a decision as to whether or not this pistol is the right one for you. And recently we just did a Box to Bullseye video where I talked about the P320 that's all decked out from Zev, and I learned a lot about this pistol. So I'll admit that going into the 365 video, I have some preconceived notions from this pistol that I'm guessing may carry over to this particular pistol, but we'll find out. So what we're gonna do is run through some very basic drills. We're going to check the trigger manipulation, sight picture. We're gonna do some accuracy testing, so just some slow fire round count drills on our paper target that you can download for free on our website. And then we're gonna move into some steel targets and some other more complex drills depending on where my shooting's at. And hopefully this gives you guys some feedback on this pistol, but also gives you a little bit of a roadmap and some ideas that you can implement on the range as you're getting out and training. So let's get some ear pro on. I've got my shot timer. Let's go up to 5 yards and we're gonna start this thing off right away. Today, the holster that I'm going to use is my personal favorite holster that I carry my Glock 19 with every single day. It is a sidecar holster from T-Rex Arms. So we'll put the pistol in here, get this thing into position. The other reason that I'm super excited about this particular pistol, again, at this point I haven't shot it, so keep that in mind. This might change as we learn a little bit about the gun, but it is extremely tiny, and I can tell you that already it just disappears on my body and I can bend over and do all of the stuff that I'd want to do. Whereas the Glock 19 or my Glock 22 are pretty big. So just something to keep in mind. I'm a little excited, to say the least. So we have one of our paper pistol fundamental targets downrange. I've got a 1" by 1" black square. What I'm going to do is put 5 rounds, just slow rounds where I'm trying to land every single round on that black square or as close to that black square as possible. This is 100% cold, no shot timer, nothing like that. This is one of the ways that I'm going to learn this pistol. All right, I like it. let's go check this out. So with the 320, I had point of aim, point of impact issues. This gun feels sweet already. I'm super excited about this. So as you can tell, I only had one round actually land out of a 1x1 square. And a lot of folks are gonna say that's a really tiny target. That's pretty easy. You're only 5 yards away. It's actually more complex than what you would think. I encourage you to hop on our website, download this target, and see for yourself. So let's go back down here to 5 yards. Now this time, I just gotta keep track of my ammunition here. This time I'm just gonna push out, and on that small circle, it's about a 2.5 inch diameter circle, no shot timer. I'm just gonna push out and put one round in the center of that, and then we're gonna check the hits. Okay, that one I pulled left. That's a little bit low. A little bit low. What?
We're back.
We're back? Mm-hmm. We good? So we had a technical malfunction. We're back at it. So we're still here, pushing out and putting one round theoretically in the center of the circle. So this gun, right off the bat, it doesn't point quite the same as any of my other pistols. That's very skinny. So for me, getting my big hands around it, it is a little bit weird. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit because I threw all 3 of those shots. I really need to focus on sight picture, trigger press, and obviously one of those or both of them is out of whack, and that's why I'm missing. So let's just slow it down, slow push out, sight picture, and right there it landed in the circle. Now, ironically, my fat thumb hit the mag release that time, so as soon as I shot, check that out, no bullet in chamber. So that's something I obviously have to keep in mind. All right, slow push out. Pulled that one low too, slow it down. That one's dead center. All right, let's go down range. Talk about this. Okay, so my last 4 rounds, including that reload, all landed in that circle. So I definitely had a lot to dial in there. And like I said, some of this that I'm experiencing is just simply the size of the pistol, getting the master grip proper all the way up under that beaver tail, and then filling in with this support hand. It's just awkward because this thing is so skinny. I definitely think that I'm gonna overcome that as we shoot more. So let's go back to 5 yards. Let's do a 1R1 because I only have one more bullet. And then we're gonna push out, we'll draw from holstered and put 2 rounds in the big circle, and I'm gonna check times on that. So this time we're gonna do a 1R1 real quick on the timer, just as a baseline in the big circle. That was a 3.79. Let's go check these hits real quick. So I got a good master grip that time, and those are both the rounds in a 3.79 at 5 yards. So last drill before I have to reload the magazines, we're gonna come back here again to about 5 yards, and I'm simply going to draw, and I'm going to fire 2 rounds into the big circle. So we're just gonna check the times here. Let me try that again. Again, my thumb hit the mag release. All right, that was a 1.68. Split was a 0.29 split, so that's pretty quick. Let's do this again one more time. All right, that time I threw one, that was a 1.57, 0.24 split. Let's see if I can get one more. Yep. One more. Whew, that time I pinched my finger. So what's happening when I'm getting the master grip if my thumb rotates down at all, because again, I've got pretty big hands, it bumps that mag release. And it is just dropping it just enough that it won't catch the next round, and that's why I have to tap rack. So again, that's not a fault of the gun. It's tiny, my hands are big. So that one was right on the line. I guess I'll count that. Well, that's an out. It should have been in. And I threw 2 of them high there. So I can tell you that my first impression right now at this point, I don't have the issues with the point of aim, point of impact like I had with the Z320. Now I don't know if that's common with this particular gun, if they have different sights, if there's a different angle of barrel in this thing, I have no idea. But I can tell you that right away, I'm more confident with this little pistol. But I want to go into some more complex drills. So we have to go over, top off our magazines. We're gonna do that right now. And then we are gonna keep shooting this thing so I can gather some more data and then provide that to all of you guys. So let's do that. So now that we've done some basic drills where we're kind of drawing and presenting, we did a little bit of pushing out, we did some controlled recoil or controlled trigger press and sight picture, slow shots for accuracy. I'm gonna move into a couple higher round count drills that are really going to show me how well I can control the recoil of this gun and drive my sights back on target, as well as good trigger presses with all of my strings of fire. So the one thing I'll note is, if you're just starting out and you bought one of these pistols and you're getting out on the range, don't look at what I just did for 5 minutes and say, oh, that's enough, now I can move on. You definitely have to spend time, see progress before you go into complex drills, because you could actually do more harm than good by trying to run before we're walking here. Definitely push yourself. You want to see where your failure points are, but make sure that what we're doing is with purpose and reason. So let's get this thing loaded back up, see if we can beat the storm that is incoming, and do a couple drills. So the first thing that I want to see is just a bill drill. And the bill drill that I'm doing is not a real bill drill. Now I'm using a 6-inch circle. I'm less than 7 yards, so it's not a true bill drill, but we're gonna draw, fire 6 rounds on that big circle and just kind of analyze how that goes. Just make sure this is loaded up. We got the full magazine in here. All right, bill drill on the circle. All right, that was a 263, 0.25, 0.23, 0.28, 0.25, 0.23, and a 0.25. I know, impressive. Let's go check this out. So, less impressive now that we're seeing hits, but the split times are very consistent, and I'm actually very happy with this, even though I threw 2 of the shots. So we've got 4 of the rounds landed within the big circle. 2 of the rounds went outside the circle. So now I'm gonna do one more drill just like that, where I'm drawing and putting 3 rounds on target. This time I'm gonna back it down a little bit. I wanna make sure I get all 3 of my hits. I don't necessarily care how fast I go, but I wanna have good cadence between all of my shots. I don't want it to be like 1, 2, 3. I want it to be 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna be trying to do that in my head. Good cadence, good hits. Let's just check the ammo again. Press checks are free. Let's do this, 3 rounds. All right, so I threw 1 really low left. 0.43, 0.38. All right, so we had 1, 2, and I threw 1 way low left. So that could be a couple things. One, more than likely, this is what it is, my sights were absolutely not on target. Could have been a bad master grip, could have been a trigger jerk or recoil anticipation, but more than likely, my sights were just simply not on target, because even with a bad trigger press at this distance, normally my shots aren't going to be that drastic. But let's go back down here. I'm gonna do that one more time and try to get that a little bit cleaned up. Let's see. Let's switch mags here. All right, let's do 4 rounds this time. All right, I felt the 3rd shot. I saw my sights wander and I felt anticipation. So I know I threw that 3rd shot. Yep, right there. So that's the shot that landed right outside the circle. It's not bad, it's not terrible, but my other 3 were right here. So that's pretty cool. So already, again, I'm realizing that although this is a pretty small pistol, and while I'm talking here, let's go back down to the table and load up that other mag. I'm already noticing that, yes, it's a small pistol, it's got a pretty stubby grip, but it's not hard to control the recoil. So it's a little bit surprising. I definitely thought that this pistol would be snappier. It's proving to be a very smooth pistol. Definitely has a little bit more recoil impulse, I would say, than my Glock 19 or the 320. But definitely a sweet shooting pistol. So what we're gonna do now is something very similar. A couple more drills where we're doing some build drills and other stuff like that, maybe some transitions and reloads on steel targets, because the steel targets that we make and produce can also help you train more efficiently. So we're gonna just top off this mag and use our mini vital zone as well as one of the Raven targets to do a couple drills real quick. So that'll be good enough there. Oop. Topped off. So let's go on this side of the barrels. So right now what I'm gonna do is from right here, just draw and put 2 rounds on the mini vital zone, and that's a reduced A zone. That target is only about 7 inches by 4 inches. Very difficult target to shoot. Draw, put 2 rounds. I'm gonna transition and put 2 rounds on the other mini vital zone. Just on the timer. All right. One thing that's still very difficult for me is getting a really good master grip, because this is so close to my belt line. It is very hard for me to get my hand around the pistol. So that was that whole pause at the beginning. So let's try that one more time. All right, not too bad. Definitely seeing stuff that I have to work on. So I've got one more round in here. I feel the things that I need to work on, and one of them is just getting that good master grip and learning that the size of this gun means I'm gonna have to handle it a little bit different right out of the holster. So now what we're gonna do is a quick 1R1 drill using the Raven target. Now the Raven is a target we make in partnership with John Lovell from Warrior Poet Society. Awesome system, another smaller target that's gonna keep you accountable. So right now we're at 10 yards. Gonna do a 1R1 on that target. We're gonna check times. All right, that was a 3.86. So a 1R1 is not a drill that I would say is the most important drill to time, but I do like to use time to check consistency. Sometimes I will do drills like this, and especially with a new pistol and a smaller one like this, I'll actually isolate the reload itself to make sure I'm not wasting time in movement. Let me do that one more time. Make sure I have 1 round. All right. Oop, threw that one low. There's a 3.68 with 1 miss. Let me get a good hit on that one. .408 with 1 miss. Let's try that again. I'm gonna try to really get that good master grip, sight picture, trigger press. All right. Let's top off this mag one more time. And the last drill that I'm gonna do before we really dive into some other more complex drills and some other range fun is I'm gonna actually draw and put one round in the head box of a USPSA target. So again, a very small target, kind of combining all of the accuracy, the good presentation, and the sight picture on that head box. So let's do that. We're gonna be right here at 5 yards. Switch mags. All right, just drawing, firing one shot in the head A-zone box on a USPSA target. That was a 1.59. That's right on the edge. Let's do it again. Can't tell if I missed that or if it went right in the same spot, but that was a 1.43. Let's do it one more time. Little bit low, 154. Little bit low. Let's go check this out because I want to see if I threw that second round. All right, so I did not. Those first, so this was the last two. This was the first two. So I did actually land them right on there. And technically that's in, it's right on the edge. So a pretty sweet little pistol. Now I've just done basic drills at this point. Obviously I'm not gonna know everything about this gun in one range day. Now what I wanna do is just get my blood pumping, get my heart rate up, have some fun on the range. So we're just gonna run around, spend about an hour shooting this gun, just learn it as much as possible before we close out this video. Then I'm gonna give you my opinion on the Z365XL and my first impression of it on the range. Let's do it. All right, let's talk about this. So not very accurate there at 25 yards. I had a couple of these go into the Charlie and a Delta. Up close, we got Alpha, 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 Charlie, Alpha, Alpha. So not bad. I was definitely pushing the distance there with this little handgun. But let's talk about what I think about this handgun at this point. One, it's extremely hot. right now because we've been shooting for about an hour straight, just loading mag after mag. Let me clear this guy out. I was pleasantly surprised by this particular handgun. Now, again, I said this video was not necessarily a review video. It was just so that I could give you guys feedback and kind of give you my opinion on how this pistol worked. Because ultimately, my job and my desire here is not to necessarily tell you, hey, go out and buy this pistol. Every time you go out and get a new gun, there's nuances with it. There's little things that you've got to learn. And if you haven't put your hand on the gun, you may not necessarily know about them. So the one thing that I'm going to say about this pistol that I think is going to be the biggest thing that I personally have to work on is the fact that when it's in the holster, it is very close to my belt line. And what that's causing me to do is really not have a great master grip when I'm drawing that handgun out. I've noticed a couple times, well, more than a couple times, that my grip is actually low. And so there's not contact there with that beaver tail, and then the gun can pivot. And it's just leading to just sloppy handling with this particular gun. It's just something that I've got to work through. If you watch the other Box to Bullseye video on the Zev Z365XL compact, you'll notice that I talked a lot about point of aim versus point of impact. And that particular pistol, if I aimed like I did with my Glock, it would hit straight low by about an inch. I didn't notice that at all with this handgun. I was able to put the top of the front sight dead center where I wanted to hit, squeeze, do my part with the trigger press, and break the shot clean, and it was landing shots where they needed to land. So that was very refreshing for me. As far as all of the function and the serrations and all of the Gucci stuff that Zev has going on, definitely the serrations make it really nice to rack over the top or do any kind of manipulations of the slide. It's super awesome that it's already milled for a red dot, and I do plan to put a micro red dot on this. Not sure what model yet, but I will put a dot on this, and it's gonna help me out even more, I think, when we're talking about those distant shots. Another thing that I really like about this pistol, honestly, is the trigger. The first time I pressed the trigger on a P365XL, I was like, hey, this feels like a potato. I don't really know why I would call it a potato, but it just is squishy. It's weird. It's like firm, but kind of squishy. But just like the 320X compact, there's a good wall there. So what that means is as I'm doing multiple rounds and really doing those drills like bill drills and drills that require a lot of follow-up, it's really easy to get the wall, break a clean shot, even though the trigger itself is not very light. So I'll just show that to you guys again. Again, this isn't going to show the weight of the trigger. Very clean wall there. And then a break that's a little mushy there. Let's show you the reset. Pretty short reset there as well. So overall, I'm very excited about this pistol. Definitely more so than the 320X compact, just because out of the box, this thing runs super well for me. So guys, hopefully this video was helpful, at least entertaining for you. Maybe it gave you some intelligence on this particular pistol. Whether you get it from Zev or it's straight from Sig, the lower receiver is gonna be the same, the trigger's the same. When you get it from Zev, you get all of the Gucci slide serrations, you get the optic cut, really awesome sights, get the barrel from Zev, and you're gonna get the Cerakote all in one package. So if that's stuff that matters to you, definitely consider it. Will it make you a better shooter? No, this stuff's not going to make you a better shooter. What's gonna make you a better shooter is getting out on the range and putting in the time and energy. And guys, if you could, definitely hop over to our website and consider supporting us. We don't have a Patreon or anything like that. We do this YouTube channel to help educate and entertain you guys. The best way that you can support us here at this channel and to allow us to continue doing what we're doing is consider purchasing some steel targets. And if you don't have a big budget, grab one of our 20-inch round bases, pack of 50 cardboard targets, print off some of our free PDF fundamental targets on our website, and hit the range and train with purpose. And we appreciate you guys for watching this channel, watching this video. Leave us a comment below. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about this pistol. We're gonna catch you guys in the next episode of Box to Bullseyes.